So I really have nothing. What have you been up to?
Since we last recorded?
Yeah.
I had a lot of work to do, wrestling related and outside of wrestling business interests. I spent time with the family, and then I prepared for this recording.
How do you have time to spend with your family?
Well, they live in the same house as me, so it's somewhat simple. I open the door and they just seem to flood into the office.
Well, still don't have time. I'm a busy man running the empire from this end. You should be busier than having just willy-nilly being able to associate with your family. I'll have you know that Harley Quinn's, I'm a stranger to her. She doesn't even hump my leg anymore.
I guess whatever floats your boat, whatever memories you're wishing to have with Harley Quinn.
I don't have time to go out on boats.
Perverted memories that you have?
I've just memories like the corners of my...
You a Barbra Streisand fan?
Memories.
Like
the protuberances in my bra. But anyway, I don't have time to go out on a boat. You're talking about whatever floating my boat. I don't have time to go out on boats of fishing or racing boats or whatever. I'm working.
You don't have time to go on a boat. Technically, you don't have time to go on a plane, but you also don't want to go on a plane.
Right.
Do you have a problem being at sea?
I'd rather be at sea than up a shit creek without a paddle. I thought you were going to go with you, like to go out on a boat and go fishing or float down the river or whatever. You've instantly put me out in the fucking Sargasso Sea. I'm on one of these floating Petri dishes that just grows organisms and amoebas that lead to massive outbreaks of disease out in the middle of the ocean, 1,000 miles from the fucking horizon of land. You've instantly stuck me out there. You don't want to break me in first with, hey, you want to go out in this fucking boat with old Joe there fishing on the lake where you can still see the land on all sides of you.
I see you more of a fly fishing kind of guy.
Well, if flies or worms or whatever the fish is biting on, it doesn't, but... No, in all honesty, here's the thing. I'm not as bad about boats, obviously, as I am about airplanes because I can swim. I just can't fly.
So you can swim. We're establishing something we didn't know, that you can swim.
Not fast, and I'm not going to try to do the English Channel, but I'm not going to drown for a little while. If I'm reasonably close to land, I'm okay unless there's some other mitigating circumstances like a fucking shark or something tied around my neck. I'll be all right in lake, pond, stream, river, as long as it's not too fucking rapid.
Unless it's a shark or something tied around your neck, you'll be okay.
Some mitigating circumstance, I'm okay in a reasonable body of water. Basically, any time in my life that I have been in a body of water, I've been close enough to land to where that I was not in danger. I'm not going to just fucking willy-nilly be out at the 3-mile limit and decide, well, I'm too tired to get back to shore. No, that's not going to be Jim Cornette. And with boats, if you're on a boat, whether it be, I'm not big on those paddle boats because that's a lot of work. And the last time, what are you laughing at?
It's always about effort. It's your problem with everything.
Well, let me tell you what happened. No, the last time I was at a paddle boat, it was like, oh my God, 10 years ago or so, the Midnight Express, and we had a reunion / fan fest out in the Eastern Virginia. What are you laughing at already now?
The idea... You said the last time I was in a paddle boat was around 10 years ago. We had a Midnight Express reunion, and in my head, I'm trying to put together what Midnight Express and paddle boats have to do with each other.
No, we had a reunion while we were out there in the coast of Virginia, out around the Norfolk area. And since that was a little trip, Stacey went with me, and we took a few days vacation, and we went to a colonial Williamsburg, and we looked at all the sites and things, and we were staying at a resort area. Well, it wasn't like a resort area, but it was a vacation little spot that you walk down, and there's the paddle boats on the lake with the recreation. And we said, well, we'll take a paddle boat, right? So we get together, the guy gives us the fucking boat, and she gets on the left, and I get on the right. And they untie us and we start paddling. And we're getting about 10, 15 feet away from the dock, and already I'm realizing, well, I've been in a few of these things before, and they didn't seem that difficult to learn how to operate, but we're paddling and trying to steer, but it's just floating. We're floating. We're not going in the direction that we're trying to go to, and then it starts spinning around in a circle, kind of like that as it's floating, and we're getting farther from the dock, and I'm paddling harder, and this motherfucker is not going. It's like going backwards now. I'm paddling as hard as I can paddle it. Instead of going forward, we're going backwards. And God damn it. Then I look down and fuck yes, there's a leak. We're taking on water. And now I'm Stacy, my crate. No, she's trying to paddle too. And this thing, it slipped the chain. I don't know. The whatever action is supposed to take place from us paddling is not taking place, and we're drifting farther from the fucking dock where they got all the other paddle boats that I assume work just fine. And the guy's over there, and he's talking to some other guy, and I'm like, I'm paddling so hard trying to not get so far away from the dock. I got pretty good legs. Maybe not now, but 10 years ago, they were still pretty good. I'm pushing so hard, I crack the back of the seat, and it flies. So I fly backward, and now I'm completely prone, supine.
Maybe.
And so now I said, we got to call for help. And I said, I'm waving my arm, and I said, ahoy, ahoy, to the people in the dock. And they look over, and they're looking like, well, I said, we're taking on water. And we came, and now I'm blowed up anyway. And this fucking guy has to get in the goddamn his little motorboat, right? With the boat with the outboard motor, regular boat like that, and come over and grab the bow of this thing or whatever the fuck, and tie it up and drag us in. And by then we were almost sunk. And also, I said, what's going on? It must have done something. I don't know. And I said, well, fuck this. He said, you want another one? I said, no. I have to have a fucking stroke right now. Both of us, we had to sit down twice just walking back up the hill.
I'm crying from laughing at this whole visual.
I'm sorry that you're so sad, but
the only time you should be in a paddle boat is if you're being photographed by WWF magazine. There's no other reasonable thought I can have of you in a paddle boat.
But as far as other kind of boats, we did a couple of times. We've done the Belle of Louisville here, the paddle boat, the steamship cruising down the not steamship, but it's a paddle boat, paddle wheeler, cruising down the Ohio River. And that's not bad because, once again, you can see the sides, and it's fairly large, but I don't think it's going to sink in the Ohio. And so I'm not worried about that. I've been on one cruise. And we were in TNA, and we were down there 2 weeks in a row because it was holiday time. So instead of coming all the way back home, again, Stacey and I was, we'll get a cruise. And Bob Ryder fixed us up with the cruise. And we left from Tampa. We just drove down to Tampa from Orlando and left from Tampa and went to Cozumel and then back and went and did the TNA stuff the next week. But the first 24 hours on that, because I'm thinking it's like a shopping mall floating down the fucking through, not down the river, but floating out in the ocean. You know, I'm seeing all these, the clips and the videos and the commercials and things where people are just dancing and playing musical instruments, and there's a guy cutting a diamond, just things that you can do that require great motor skills and coordination. I'm thinking this is going to be like just sitting in your house, right? God damn it. The first 24 hours we get on this boat, as soon as it takes off, the seas are rough, the winds are high, and they've told us that, well, it's going to be rough for the first day. You're walking down the hallways. I don't know, what do they call them on a ship? Not breezeway, the hallways of the thing.
The hallway, yeah.
And people are bouncing back and forth off the walls like a video game. Bang, bang. I'm leaning on shit. And the next morning we get up and it's still like that. And we got the biggest room they had with its own private balcony and a king-size bed and a blah, blah, blah. But the bathroom was still so small you couldn't whip a cat in it without getting fur in your mouth. And the shower was like stepping into a goddamn phone booth for a midget. I had to put my knees together, scrunch down, put my head down to get in this shower. So I'm trying to take a shower while the boat's going back and bang, bang, bang. And it looked like a goddamn scene from Gilligan's Island. And I was about to say, I've made a drastic error. We're going to be on this thing for 4 days. And then things calmed down. And then, we could sit out on the deck without thinking we're going to fall over. And went upstairs on the big deck and all that stuff. There's a lot of, you're with a lot of people. I would never go on the wrestling cruise. Because if you know anybody on a boat, there's no way you can get away from them. And there's very few excuses you can come up with unless you just want to hide in your room. So you never want to go on one of these cruise ships with people you actually know who the fuck they are that will come and talk to you because you can't get away from them.
But no one recognized you?
No, goddamn, because I'm Mick Jagger. No, wait a minute. I tell a lie.
I see.
I'm good. There was a couple of the people working on the boat. But it wasn't a wrestling crowd.
Figures the carnies on the boat would be into.
and the only thing I was a bit trepidatious as I'm sitting there going, if something did happen to this fucking boat, we're completely just teetotal fucked because we're hundreds and hundreds of miles from any kind of land, and Diana Nyad couldn't swim this son of a bitch back home. Google that one, folks. So it was a bit. If there had been a storm, I would have added the cruise ships to my do not fly list. But now I just don't want to get on a cruise ship because of the spreading of the disease and the pestilence.